This is actually, I'm surprised that there wasn't more made of this in the national news. NZ Herald did some really good work today and got a really good exclusive, and it's kind of terrifying. The new recruits, senior police officers, are saying that new recruits are barely equipped to be able to do the basics of policing. Let's have a listen.
Superintendent Sam Keats is just 6 weeks into a new role as Director of the Royal New Zealand Police College. And already he's eyeing changes to the training regime, following a critical internal survey of recruits.
You know, it only takes 16 weeks to become a police officer. Now it's 20, but it was only 16. Think about the people in our community who we trust. You know, like people in community who we not value, but trust with a serious job. This would be one of the more serious jobs, guns in the backs of the cars and that kind of stuff. 16 weeks, now 20. Just think about that. Remember they had that whole conversation around, oh, you know, how can you compare a social worker to an air controller? And I'm like, yeah, because social workers have to train 2 to 3 times as long. So you're right. They should actually be respected a lot more than air traffic controllers. And it kind of feels like, I mean, even now it's been stretched to 20. 20 weeks doesn't feel very long to give someone the ability to pull you over, put you in handcuffs, put you in the back of the car, make those decisions. And I guess what we're finding out now is senior police officers are saying, they may not be saying it's not long enough, but they're certainly saying it's not working well enough because they're not ready. Anything before I hit play there, Chewie?
No, roll on.
Competency, a survey obtained exclusively by the Herald.
What they've told us, it's important that we now think very pragmatically about our response and how we improve training going forwards.
230 senior police gave feedback about how well-equipped new cops were for frontline duties after they'd finished training here. The results were hardly a glowing endorsement.
55% felt new officers were barely or not at all well equipped with knowledge of policies to make an arrest or lay charges.
So they do pull you over. Like, in fairness, they will be with a new recruit would be with a more experienced officer, but still, that new recruit has all the powers of the senior officer. Like if they're out and about by themselves for whatever reason, 55%. And 230 is a pretty big sample size of senior police officers were barely or not at all well equipped with knowledge of policies, and I think that, okay, a little bit of grace, but to make arrests or lay charges. So they don't understand what the policies are, what the way to make an arrest or the way to lay charges. 83% say new officers were barely or
More
not
than
well.
80%.
Not at all equipped to deal with file preparation, which sounds boring, but it's probably one of the more important parts of a police officer.
Part of the job.
I remember I had a police officer and he always said that his most, and I've got the wrong thing, I'm trying to paper, one of the most important things he had was his notepad when it came to arrests and that kind of stuff, because it's what he jotted everything down in for when he went back to the station to do his work. Chewie.
The way I'm, I guess, interpreting this a little bit as well is, so the new cops that would come through, obviously they'll be paired up with more experienced officers and that sort of thing to bring them up to speed. But this suggests to me that 55% of these officers are not at the place where the senior officers would expect them to be coming out of police college. So I think you've got two things. Is it the quality of the people that are graduating, that they're not washing out people that perhaps should wash out? Or is it a case of the training at the police college is suddenly not up to standard either? Or is it a combination? I think that's weird.
I think the point that you're making is fair, and we should stick with it, that you're not expecting a new recruit, new police officer to be the same as a 10-year veteran. It's the same as teachers, right? It's day one, term one, your new job as a teacher. You're not going to be as skilled and as qualified as a senior teacher who's been there 20 years. However, as you say, what I hear them saying is, compared to normal recruits and where they're at, half of these guys aren't even there. I mean, the word barely or not at all well equipped. right? Not at all. Doesn't mean, that they'll learn it as they go. They're fine for where they're at. It basically means nothing. Not at all is nothing. They have they're not at all equipped. There's not one part of them was equipped to be able to do this. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think what they're saying is, as compared to where they should be when they leave college.
And what this means is, as well, like if that's where their level of knowledge is, they're not safe. Like they're not, it's not good safety for them. It's not good safety for us, the public, if they're that shoddy around it. But it also means that if they are making arrests and cases are going to court, the chances of that just being thrown out and them not achieving the thing that they need to achieve, that becomes much higher. And then the workload on those senior officers is increased because they're like, holy shit, I can't let this guy out of my sight.
Yeah.
You know, it's a load transferal, a workload transferal. So yeah, I think this is damning.
Yeah.
And like if people are there, if you're that senior officer and you're going, oh fucking hell, my workload has gone up. I'm babysitting all of these guys that are just nowhere near ready for this job, and I'm just getting these emails from New South Wales and Victoria saying I can double my money. Why would you stick around?
Yeah. No, but that's a very good point.
This is a disaster.
Yeah. No, it's a very good point, though, that, I mean, like you didn't say it as bluntly as I said. What if they're ineptitude or they're barely or not at all well equipped with knowledge of policies for an arrest ended up hindering an arrest that should have happened? And so those people who are now going to a court case and being thrown out because procedure wasn't followed. You know, it's a sad thing to say, but I think more often than not, most of us kind of know more how an American arrest happens more than New Zealand because we see it on the telly and that kind of stuff. But, you know, they read their Miranda rights and that kind of stuff. That's all a part of the knowledge of arrests and laid charges. So versions of that aren't being done. If they're not well enough equipped, does that then let some of the people committing the crimes out of what they're doing? Anyway, let's keep going because it's got a few minutes to go.
Felt the same about the abilities of new staff when it came to file preparation. That's work like taking witness statements and preparing court files. Training also fell short when it came to knowledge of police intelligence systems, rules for holding people in custody, and the use of police radios.
55% of senior police did not think that those coming out of the police college had knowledge of the policies to make an arrest or lay charges. That's a problem, isn't it?
Look, they've pointed out a number of areas that we need to pick up and improve on as we go forwards. What they've shown us and what we've seen in other evaluations, we'll be pulling together and looking at where is our best investment in terms of enhancing and improving training. Their feedback is really, really valuable because they're on the front line with the probationary constable.
So does their feedback result in actual change here at the college to improve?
Yes, so we've got a review team underway at the moment who'll be looking to put in place some improvements to our current curriculum early next year, and we'll be doing some longer term work.
Have you had concerns relayed to you?
Yeah, certainly many of our members question at times the practical nature of the training and how well it serves recruits once they graduate.
The police...
So that says they do lots of practical and not so much of the academic, not so much of the, this is how you take a witness statement. I mean, that witness statement thing, again, then how that could make court cases fall over, you know, that's the bread and butter of being a police officer. I know we see and think about all the things like the sliding over the bonnet of the car and chasing someone down, but actually it's the witness statement to then get the conviction, to then nail the person that needs to be nailed, is far more important than that. And if that's where so in other words, they should have those skills more so than the ability to run someone down, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be able to run someone down as well, but if you had to pick one of them, the way you nail down a case and you put someone in front of a judge, and for both people who need to be in front of a judge, but then also it could be the opposite, those that don't, seems, in my opinion, ill-informed as it is, seems to be more important, Chewie.
Association's Chris Cahill says paperwork was one area that needed particular attention.
We hear recruits feel massive pressure under file preparation. So I think there needs to be more, court preparation, court files. The taking of statements is one we often hear. The importance of that, getting those statements right from witnesses and offenders, and the chain of evidence, so that when you're in court, you're not getting found out for lack of procedures.
Police Minister Mark Mitchell has already increased the time recruits spend at the college from 16 to 20 weeks. But Cahill thinks that's still too short. What are we talking in terms of longer, doubling the time or making it 30 weeks?
You're probably talking, to be honest, another month, another 4 weeks is probably the balance that we would think could be worth exploring.
Is 20 weeks here at the college long enough?
The 20 weeks is only the beginning of the learning.
But it is very short when compared to other jurisdictions, for example, Australia, which is 28 weeks.
Look, as part of our continuous improvement, we've got to think of all parts, including the duration. I can't commit to whether or not we would look to change that, but we've got to consider it in terms of the ongoing learning of somebody once they complete their recruit course here.
Recruits currently do 1 week in the field as part of the college's program. Once graduated, new officers then have 2 years of mentoring on the front line as a probationary constable. Keats says more practical training at the college level may be needed.
That, for me, is certainly something we need to consider very deliberately.
Really good from New Zealand Herald. Really good really good story. Well done. And surprised that there hasn't been more pickup of that. Christopher Luxon gets asked about it on the Herald show this morning. That'll be why. So we'll go to that in a minute. But Chewie, I don't know. I mean, I'm ignorant, so I'm happy to put that out there. But when it comes to when someone gets out on the street in their first year of being a police officer, I would hope that their ability to take witness statements, to know how policy works, to know how to detain and arrest and that kind of stuff, to me is more important than their fitness test. I'm not saying its fitness test isn't important. You've got to obviously have it to a level, but if a police officer is, only 90% fit as they should or could be, but they're completely up to it on all the other side of it, the more, I was going to say academic, but I guess it's the more logistical side of it, I think they'd be a better police officer than if they were 10% more fit, but they didn't know how to frickin' fill out the paperwork for a witness statement.
Well, as part of the fitness test, they got rid of swimming.
They brought that back. They have brought that back.
They went tested on their swimming in an island nation. That was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's like many things. It's a problem of many, many layers. Like, I think they might have a problem at the police college. 16 weeks sounds way too short. It's good that Mark Mitchell's brought it up to 20, even though that seems to be less than a lot of other places. But I think the other aspect that the police have a gaping hole. They're losing officers because of the pay. They're losing officers because of the conditions. They're losing officers because other places are willing to pay them more. So then your pool of officers that those recruits would interact with that have been down the path that they have, but they're further down, that they would get those tips and tricks and experience filtered out to them in a very organic way. They're not there. They're packing their bags and getting the fuck out of Dodge at a record rate. So they're just feeding cops and to just keep that base level the same, and they're not picking it up. So surely it would make sense to plug the leak first. So you are going to train officers and retain officers. It's the same problem that we have with teachers. Remember when we talked about the stats of how many teachers don't last more than 5 years?
Yeah. High.
Yeah, and I would expect that it is very similar for the police. And if I'm right on the demographics, the police have a problem that there are a lot of senior officers that are coming up on retirement as well. So
20%.
that's your real knowledge base. Those guys have been around. Like it's almost like they should be the ones doing the police college. But yeah.
So those numbers, a 2018 survey showed nearly half of high school teachers, and 20% of primary teachers quit within 5 years. Half of high school teachers. A 2023 Teacher Council survey found 58% of teachers are likely to leave within the next 5 years. There you go. That's the teacher stats. Just so we know.
The other aspect, and I think we touched on this on the show a couple of months ago, is the police should have standards, obviously, for people coming into the police. But I think in some ways, especially when it comes to neurodiverse people, their standards are outdated. And I don't know if it's just a case of them going, no, this is the way that we train a cop and we can't possibly look at anything else. This is just the way that it's done. This is how you make a cop. I think much in the same way that recruiting police from certain ethnic communities, so those communities are represented in the police force, the same could be said for neurodiverse people. People with ADD, as an example, tend to be really fast decision makers and really good in a crisis, but the paperwork might be a struggle. I wonder if that's something that they haven't looked at, that they've just gone, nah, we don't want any of the neurospices. That's it. They're a bit weird.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Let's go to Christopher Luxon, because Christopher Luxon was then on Big Herald News, and he was asked about the police, and Ryan Bridge asked him, you guys just doing whatever you can to reach your numbers, etc., etc. Let's hear what he had to say.
Police, in terms of the story from Michael Morrow at the Herald this morning, pretty damning report from their own officers, senior officers, about the new kids on the block. Did you see that? What do you make of
I've
that?
seen it in highlight terms, but I haven't read the full report. Obviously, that'll be for the police to read. But it feels a little bit.
How much is that an out, eh? Did you hear what he just said? I haven't read the full report. That'll be for the police to read. You're the fucking Prime Minister of the country. Don't you think you should be over a pretty damning report on police when you are trying to up the number of police significantly in New Zealand? But I mean, I'm just the Prime Minister. Why would I read the whole report?
Your officers about the new kids on the block. Did you see that? What do you make of
I've
that?
seen it in highlight terms, but I haven't read the full report. Obviously, that'll be for the police to read. But
You're gonna say, Chewie?
I was going to say, he's elected to lead, not to read.
All right.
But yeah, no, why would he be across that? The leader of the party of law and order. There's no need for him to read it. This is a beat-up question.
Well, the other thing as well, we know Mark Mitchell can't read, so who's left to actually read it?
it feels a little bit also like, a lot of workplaces where the new generation is never quite as good as the old generation. I just would say I meet young cops every day.
No, you know why that's horseshit? This is horseshit because it was 230 senior officers. Like there was this story around when people train to be teachers, and I know this from lots of friends and stuff, and you're a beginning teacher and you go into a classroom and there's two kinds of teachers, senior teachers. They're the teachers that go, they're new, they're fresh out of university, they don't know anything. And then there's other ones who go, they're new, they're fresh out of college, they might have some new ideas. But it's they're not all or nothing. So if you've got 230 police officer survey, it's a good survey. That's a good chunk of police officers kind of saying very similar things. So yeah, no, I don't think you can pan this out to be, it's just the old fellas saying in my day, because that's not the case. Because that's basically what Luxon's trying to say, is that it's the old boys saying in my day.
But it feels a little bit also like, a lot of workplaces where the new generation is never quite as good as the old generation. I just would say I meet young cops every day. I was actually with the police commissioner on Saturday night and I met, 4 awesome young, police officers. They're doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, but that's different.
And,
you're saying I met 4 nice young police officers. These are the senior guys and girls who actually train the younger ones. And they're saying...
Good pushback,
not up to scratch when it comes to important things like pay.
Gold star.
Do you feel like a proud dad right now? I mean, is it is it kind of?
I feel like a fucking surprised Wookiee is
Look
what
at
I
our-
feel like.
Look at our little fella.
He's pushing back on the Prime Minister. We
Look at our
know
little
Ryan
fella.
Bridge loves the
He's
Prime
asked.
Minister.
He's asking questions. What I'm so proud.
Train the younger ones, and they're saying not up to scratch when it comes to important things like paperwork, which is how you get your convictions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, well, there'll obviously be issues for the police to look at that full report and work out whether they can.
What a coward. I mean,
Weak.
you know what?
Weak.
Do you know who this guy is? He's been touting his CEO status for 3-4 years. He's the kind of CEO that throws the manager under the bus. Like, honestly,
Oh,
what
100%.
What a coward. What a coward. This is for the police to handle out. No, sir. If you are the CEO, you are ultimately responsible. We said this the other week. When people say, well, Christopher Luxon is not responsible for the words of David Seymour. Yes, he is. The CEO is the ultimate buck stopper. Stop shirking your responsibility. You wanted the big fucking office. You sold your soul for the big fucking office. And now you have to take the consequences. You don't get to go, well, they can read it. I don't need to. Yeah, you do.
But Pat, he was out on Saturday night with the police commissioner and the top 4 recruits that the police commissioner could find. Like, that's the thing. Police commissioner's not going to bring along 4 of his most Gumby junior cops, is he?
Yeah.
He's the guy that had fucking 4 goes at the written exam. He's currently licking a window, but he's a constable now. Like,
Yeah,
you're not going to see those, are you, Luxon?
Let's keep listening to him.
Yeah, no, well, there'll obviously be issues for the police to look at that full report and work out whether they can strengthen and improve their
Coward.
training, get all that. All I'm saying is that we're doing everything we can. We put $225
No, you're
million
not.
into
No, you're
recruitment.
not.
We've actually expanded the program from a 16-week training course and brought it back to.
You're not doing everything you can until our police officers stop going to Australia for pay and conditions. You're not doing everything you can. You might be fair enough to say you're doing some things, but you're not doing everything you can. If you were doing everything you can, then police wouldn't be leaving to go to other options. You're not doing everything you can. Same can be said for teachers. Same can be said for nurses.
$1 million into recruitment. We've actually expanded the program from a 16-week training course and brought it back to the 20 weeks in order to make sure there's more time to make sure the recruits are trained properly. We've said very clearly that we actually want to make sure the standard, we put swim tests back in place, done a number of other things
but
as well.
you're not, because you're also trying to increase capacity because you want more cops because you've got to deal with New Zealand first. So you're not giving us half-baked cops for a target, are you?
We've got no interest. We're happy to miss a target. We're not going to sacrifice quality of police.
Oh, Mr. Luxon, we're happy to miss a target? Really? Mr. KPI?
It's not about the frickin' targets, Pat.
Oh, you're happy. This is someone who says, my company, I'm happy for it to stay number 4. What a CEO are you?
We've got no interest. We're happy to miss a target. We're not going to sacrifice quality of police officers
Have you
and training.
told them that?
We've
at
been,
Police
yes,
HQ?
we've been very clear about this months ago, which is to say, look, it might take us a couple of months later than what we'd anticipated to get the 500 in place.
Good cops better than just
But we
cops.
want really well trained cops. It's really important.
Two-speed.
We want really well-trained cops as well. It's really important. And we're not getting them under your leadership, Mr. Luxon.